Good evening, and welcome to the premiere of Just Us, UNCW's newest performance troupe. The group behind me has come from all over campus to enroll in Com to 11, Storytelling and Culture, for spring 2016. Every story you hear tonight was lived through the body that tells it. Each performer went into their own life experiences and picked the ones where social injustice were most vivid to them and when they wanted to share those experiences in pursuit of a better world. Throughout the semester, they've used the research method autoethnography, which asks researchers, before you start analyzing the stories and lives and identities of other people, take a look inside yourself. Locate your body in relation to the culture and the people around you. So these are their stories. This is their show. And I have been honored to be their director.
Black.
A color of frustration.
Pink.
A color of femininity.
Gray.
A color of injustice.
White.
A color of margins.
So, you think because I'm white I want to hear all your ignorant, divisive, racist crap? I'm from the South, and my whole family's from the South. It breaks my heart that people so often equate Southern with racist. My family's not racist. I wasn't taught to fear and dislike people because of their skin color or their culture or their background. And believe me, hate is taught. Racism is taught. And it all comes from a place of fear. I'm so sick of hearing the N-word at work. These ignorant bastards think because I'm white, I want to hear all their racial slurs. I don't. My day at work is plenty stressful without added ignorance and hate. So when I buy a new wallet and it's got some stock pictures in the little plastic sleeves, I keep the one of the African-American family. Now anytime at work I hear N-word this and these effing N-words, I say, hey, y'all can stop with all the racist crap. My family's black and I really don't appreciate hearing it. And they always come back with, man, yeah, right, man, you're lying. Come on, man. So I whip out my wallet. See there? That's my Uncle Carl and my niece Tiffany. And then they always come back with, man, I'm so sorry, man. My best friend's black, I promise. Sure they are. Does anybody have a picture of a Latino family I can have?
Pink. Pink everywhere. The birthday presents, balloons, decorations, the cake. What's more exciting as a little girl than getting to open up your present to find the newest baby doll on the market that you wanted so badly? I knew with my stroller, car seat, and accessories, I'd be the perfect little mommy. I'd be just like my mommy. Growing up, we learned from magazines, commercials, even toys, to be just like our moms. Nurturing, loving, kind. You know one day you'll look to them for guidance when you were raising your own kids. You never think this wouldn't be a possibility. I never thought it wouldn't be. Until one day, I got sick and had to go to the hospital. Until one day, I had to go in for emergency surgery where the surgeons had to make the life-changing decision on whether or not to remove my reproductive organs or have me die from infection. I never thought this wouldn't be a possibility until I woke up in a dark hospital room with my mom by my side. I never thought this wouldn't be in my future until she told me there's a strong possibility I no longer have the chance of having kids. Sitting there, I thought it out. Knowing I'd have to go through months of a strenuous adoption process with the chance of me never getting that child. Knowing I'd have to spend thousands just to inject painful hormones into my body with the chance of it still not working. And knowing that I'll never get to hear my daughter's friends tell her how much we look like. Conversation I heard throughout my childhood. Knowing these things, I know I can bear those little snippets of pain. But knowing that to society and to the people who one day ask and receive the question and answer as to why I don't have kids will then view me as damaged, broken, different. Knowing this, I then question if I'll ever have the chance to have a husband when I can't traditionally carry on the name, that I can't view myself as whole, that I'll never be able to be loved by society, where I can't do the one thing that I'm meant to do, where I'm meant to throw bright pink birthday parties. Feeling this, I then wish that I had never been given that first baby doll.
Guilty. I never got to hear that word. Hell, I never even heard he was arrested or we brought him in for questioning. It made me think, maybe I overreacted. Maybe that wasn't what really happened. He didn't rape me. It wasn't a big deal. Well, excuse me while I scream. It's a fucking huge deal. How can I say I overreacted when my body's natural way of reacting to his name, to the act, to the word, is fight or flight? I can never muster up the power to fight. My mind goes numb. I'm in disbelief. This person, how could this person do this to me? And my feet, they carry me away before I have time to sack a punch. My body knows what's real. I'm not faking it. And I'm sure as hell not lying. So why? Tell me, why did I never hear the word guilty?
I get a text from my sis. She asked me if I saw it was on the featured section of Netflix. I didn't. I went home to check the featured section, and I was featured. Being Ginger was the title. It was pretty much about a redheaded man in his late 20s going up to women and asking them if they would ultimately date him. The movie was pretty bad and boring, but I remember when having red hair was bad. Puberty. I wake up, put on my tidy whities, my Hollister shirt, my cargo shorts, grab my backpack and rush out the door and head to the bus stop where my crush was waiting for me. She never really saw past the red hair. The bus came, found my typical seat alone in the back. Funny thing is, the people bullied me. I would wear a hat every day just so that I wouldn't have orange hair. I would come home and cry to my parents because I get my hat thrown in the bushes. I have to retrieve the hat. I get red, and people say it was sunburnt, but it was really just an allergic reaction.
Oh, did I mention? You're pretty cute for a ginger.
Not being cocky, but I got that a lot. It started getting annoying because I just wanted to fit in with the rest of the middle school. I was asked, "Why do you look like that?" or told
Yo, Josh, your hair's on fire.
I was being marginalized. High school got a little better. Finally realized that I was different. Instead of trying to fit in with a popular crowd, I just became myself. But now I'm in college, a place where old dreams die and new identities are found. A place where we're just silent about marginalization. Unknowingly whispering to our friend, thinking that no one will hear. People hear, and people hurt.
When I was 13 or 14 years old, my two cousins stopped coming to Thanksgiving dinner. This had happened before on the other side of my family with our Christmas get-togethers. As my cousins grew up and got older, became adults with jobs and lives of their own outside of the family, they would naturally stop coming to family events. But this wasn't the case with Megan and Scott. Sure, they were old enough to have their own lives and to want to spend the holidays without us, but aging isn't what caused their absence at the table. It was their mother. Sometime between Thanksgiving holidays, my cousin Megan had come out as a female-to-male transgender and had asked to be called Sam from then on. In response, my Aunt Linda disowned him. Scott simply decided he'd rather spend Thanksgiving dinner with his brother than pretend he didn't have one at all with the rest of the family. I don't blame him. It hurt not being able to see either of them, but I was glad that Scott was able to see past Sam's gender and remain close with his brother. At the first Thanksgiving without them, I listened in frustrated silence as Linda spoke almost exclusively about Scott, only referring to her other child in the past tense and only using the name Megan. It was like Megan or Sam or whoever had died in some mysterious freak accident, or had simply ceased to exist. It was bittersweet. I loved hearing so much about Scott, but having to pretend as though Sam was dead made me so angry that it took everything I had not to scream or cry. But I knew there was nothing I could say or do, so I just sat politely, saying less and feeling less like a part of my family as each year went by. This past January, Scott was found dead in his apartment at the age of 28. The cause of death was ruled as undetermined, but probably an accident, but that's it. We have no idea what happened. Linda was devastated. Her favorite child, the one she'd put all of her time and energy into since Sam came out, was gone. I was distraught. I'd just lost my grandfather 2 days before and was now having to deal with double losses. And I was bitter because I felt like I'd been cheated out of the past few years of his life. I'd only gotten to see him once a year as it was, and I couldn't help but feel as though Linda pushing Sam out the door and out of her life so quickly had caused me to miss out on more than I should have. Of course, that doesn't matter. Nothing I feel is going to turn back time and make Linda any wiser to how her life was going to play out, or change what the situation is now. What matters is that we're here now, and Linda called Sam for the first time since she disowned him, and they were able to begin again. I'm just sorry it took Scott's death to get them there. 78% of transgender youth will report being verbally assaulted for their gender identity. 55% will report being physically assaulted, and over a third will attempt suicide.
According to LiveScience.com, about 1% to 2% of the world's population is redheaded. That makes up about 97.5 million redheads in the world today.
According to RAIN, 2 out of every 100 rapists will go to prison. The other 98 walk free.
In a CDG survey of U.S. married women, it found 1.5 million women in the United States are infertile.
A 2012 Associated Press poll found that 51% of Americans expressed explicit anti-black attitudes.
Red,
The color of pain.
white,
Color of false confidence.
gray,
The color of absence.
blue,
Color of midnight depression.
purple.
The color of survival.
We all know what it's like to feel like an outcast, especially in middle school. Hormones raging and everyone desperately trying to be cool. I was one of the ones who didn't care so much. That all changed when I was teased mercilessly for something as silly as my eyebrows. I would get called names,
What's up, Chewbacca?
and people that were supposed to be my friends would laugh along and tell me that I should too because it was just a joke. People would hold their fingers across their eyebrows at me, and that was to insinuate that I had a unibrow when I didn't really. I just had 2 really thick regular eyebrows. I was asked out as a joke, but luckily I said no before knowing the cruel intent behind it. Later I found out that one of my friends had been present when the group of young boys planning the prank had been doing so, and that even though he didn't help plan the prank, he certainly didn't do anything to stop them. Eventually I grew tired of this. I wanted to be liked by the many friends that I had had in elementary school, so I let their behavior influence mine. There was a girl named Victoria who was often much worse off than I was. I would join along making jokes about how she needed to be on what not to wear, and would
laugh about how bad she often smelled. And eventually, even though I was still bullied, I began to feel included again. Instead of befriending Victoria and facing our bullies together, I decided to sacrifice her for myself. I know now that we should learn to love our flaws. I guess it helps that having thick eyebrows is in style these days, but I can't help but feel better towards the girls who draw theirs in, or the ones that come up to me complimenting me, telling me how lucky I am to be born with naturally thick ones, because they didn't have to go through the hell that I did in middle school, and they don't have to deal with the long-lasting anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem that I do. Eventually, I caved in and neatened up my eyebrows because I couldn't take the looks and the comments that I would get, even from strangers. But Victoria, well, the last time I saw her, which was in high school, she hadn't changed a bit. And the best part is that she didn't hold a grudge against me or against anyone else that we went to middle school with. I hope that one day we can all learn to love ourselves as fully and as happily as she did.
Is it weird that I have to compliment myself to make sure I feel good? It's not like I do it all the time, but I just have this fear of being judged, and I don't want others to be able to bring me down. I feel really good when I sing, and I like to sing all the time, but I'm scared of being judged while I sing. To most people, I am a fairly good singer. I like to believe that most of the time. But if I feel like I'm being judged while I sing, I'm scared of what they might say. Don't get me wrong, though. If someone compliments me, I let it get in my head, and I make sure everyone knows. Like, everyone. But if someone says something bad about me, I feel like for a little bit I just shut down. Most people that know me, it's not something you expect from me. In most other aspects of my life, I'm fairly confident in what I do and who I am. And some people might say, come off as a little full of myself, and I guess I can see how you'd say that, but wait. No, I don't. They're wrong. I'm awesome. But there's nothing wrong with being confident and flaunting a little bit. There are certain topics I don't like talking about because I don't want to open up. I do it to cover up feeling vulnerable, and I'm probably not the only one that does that. It takes a lot for me to completely trust that someone won't judge me for what I do. I would act differently if I didn't care what other people think, but I do.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, what can I tell you? I'm 18 and the youngest of 3.
Okay.
I'm from a small town, and when I say small, I mean under 700 people and only has one stoplight small. I love soccer and volleyball. I love green tea, traveling, Harry Potter, and Doctor Who. Sometimes I talk too much, while other times I'm too quiet. I'm terrified of heights and disappointing the people I love. But the thing is that these things aren't me, even though that's probably how I'd answer that question. It's the same reason why whenever someone asks me how I am, I say I'm fine. It's easier. It's so much easier to give these answers, no more than trivia, because then it hurts less when people walk away. Because then I can shrug and say, they didn't really know me anyways. Now, think about what it'd be like to apply this thinking to every aspect of your life. That's what I did. I began to draw back, so instead of getting hurt, I didn't really feel it at all. This thinking took over more and more until I got numb to the things that I loved, too. Of course, at this point, I tried to take it back. I tried to remember how I used to work until my head was pounding and my heart was racing because I couldn't figure it out. It was like I had cut on autopilot and couldn't figure out how to turn it off and take control again. Suddenly, I was trapped inside my own head, and I couldn't breathe. Welcome to depression and anxiety. Of course, I can't speak for anyone else, but that's the best way I can describe it. I've had depression and anxiety since I was 15, so I've been trying to figure it out for a while. It's because when I tell someone I have a mental illness, they look at me differently. Some may not even believe me.
You're just faking it.
It's not exactly a fun thing to have, so maybe give me the benefit of the doubt.
It's all in your head. Just think more positively or something.
Of course it's in my head. That's what the mental part of mental illness means. It doesn't mean it isn't real. Then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is just as bad, if not worse. These are the people who look at me with pity or like I'm hurt or damaged. These people certainly mean well, but they end up doing more harm than good. Actually, these are the people I avoid telling the most. I really don't want to be pitied or seen as weak or broken. I don't want people to tiptoe around me. It makes me feel like they don't see me as someone who's strong enough to handle herself. But trust me getting shot down by some guy or you disagreeing with me isn't gonna send me off the deep end, and a little pressure won't make me snap in two. Let me decide what I can take. So, mental illness isn't the same for everyone, and it doesn't mean that I'm hurt or damaged. It's just another piece of trivia about me.
You know, 3 a.m. is a normal time for college students. We're sitting, talking, joking, laughing, studying, thinking, reading, socializing. Basically, anything other than sleeping. This night, I was socializing. We were laughing, and she was crying. Now, hold on, don't get me wrong. We weren't with her. We weren't laughing at her. It's just we were warm and content. And she was not. It's 3 a.m. I get a phone call and tears hit the microphone as she said she needs to talk. My friends sit, looking, smiling, wondering. And I said, hey, I have to go talk to a friend. She's struggling. She. That's what they heard. I'm a male and a flirt, so this must be some midnight rendezvous. They kept saying stuff like,
Quit being such a flirt, man.
Come on, it's almost time to go to sleep.
I'm sure she'll be all right.
but she wasn't all right. 3 a.m., I went out to talk to my friend. She had been cutting. Knives biting, wounds crying, and thoughts racing through the night. You know, she talked about the apathy. Not the feeling of pain, but the lack of it and the panic that brought. Her family fought and her friends got caught, but she was not the person she wanted to be. And all that pointed to her needing me to have the answers that she couldn't see. And if I didn't, at least she had someone she could talk to. It's 3 a.m. We're sitting in a tree. Two people talking. This time somehow helping. And the wind. It's howling. It's lonely. And she was too. Depression impressing on the recesses of her mind. Fear. That this time she might not be able to overcome the exhaustion expressed in her every thought and fake. The smile that she wore each day to keep the questions away. The smile to keep her emotions at bay. The smile to make her last just one more day. That's what we talked about. You see, it's 3 a.m. Glasses aren't clinking, bells aren't tolling, and friends aren't laughing. There is nothing romantic about this 3 a.m. scene. People struggle at 3 a.m. and at every other hour of the day.
It's dark.
It's hard.
It's lonely.
And it's not uncommon, but it's called depression.
There they were, and there I was. The red flags were there. When I saw them yell at each other, threatening her own life if he broke up with her one more time, the red flags were there. When I saw him recoil his face with a slightly disgusted expression every time she tried to kiss him in public, the red flags were there. When I saw her begin to act aggressive, all because an old friend was back in town, and when inviting him to see her with me, she responded with a, "You better not leave me for her." The red flags were there. But I waited. I waited because I wanted to believe that my friend for 8 years was not the person that I saw. I waited because I didn't want to offend anyone. I waited because I wanted to support a love that was unconditional in their eyes. I waited because in a world full of mouths trying to speak, I was the only set of ears for them willing to listen. I waited because she used his anxiety as the reason to isolate him, and I didn't want to inappropriately step over that boundary. I waited until she lied in my face, and years later she told me her truth. Why do you think it's okay to hit the person you love? I don't care if you say it's only when you two argue, because last time I recall that happens a lot. I'm not just your friend that has to agree to everything you say. I'm his friend too, and I'm not just gonna stand here and let you keep him away from the people who love him. And I'm not gonna tell you that what you're doing is okay. You're standing there laughing like it's not that big of a deal, yet you don't seem to grasp that you broke the #1 rule I have for friendship, and that's honesty. You keep telling me he's getting worse, and this idea of self-medication and keeping him locked up in this small apartment of yours is doing absolutely nothing to get him better. And now you're telling me you're hitting him? Where's the friend that I knew before all of these lies? I keep recalling that day we had outside of our favorite park. We were surrounded by trees, having our usual talk of films and philosophies of our society. Your biggest fear, you told me, was that she would cheat on you because it would end everything and you wouldn't have another place to go. Are you afraid of that because you wouldn't have a place to live? Was that your way of telling me you didn't really love her? I had so much to say that day, and it wasn't until now did I realize that then was the perfect time to ask you if you needed help and to actually help you. But I stayed quiet. I stayed quiet until the worst time possible, and I admit I am sorry for that, but don't you dare think for a second it's because I did that on purpose. I was simply being lied to. I still have things to say. Congratulations, you're married. Congratulations, you'll never again have to worry about being forever alone like you always did back in high school. Congratulations, he sees me as an enemy now. Congratulations, you've conquered and destroyed him, and the red flags are still there. In a conflicting study made by the CDC in 2010, it was discovered that 40% of victims in domestic violent relationships are men.
In a recent study done by the American Association for Anxiety and Disorder, over 30% of college students said they had struggled with depression in the past 6 months.
According to Mental Health America, around 18.1% of the adult population suffers from anxiety. That's around 44 million people, while around 16 million suffer from major depression.
In 2009, a study in a personality and social psychology bulletin found that factors ranging from clothing style to posture play a role in how impressions are formed.
According to the Center for Disease Control, students who are both victims of bullying and engage in bullying behavior are at a much higher risk for mental illness and behavioral problems.
Red,
The color of anger.
blue,
A color of national pride.
purple,
A color of hopeful struggle.
yellow,
A color of remembrance.
red.
The color of crucifixion.
Skateboarders aren't exactly idolized. Our clothes are too big, we're troublemakers, and we tend to put ourselves in unnecessary danger. Most parents aren't hoping that their kids will grow up to skate, but overall we're left alone. I'm going to tell you about the day I realized not all skaters were treated equally. It was a beautiful night in downtown Winston-Salem when me and my buddies decided to go to the Spot and skate. Now, the Spot was just a big parking lot that had rails and ledges which we could skate. We never thought twice about cops whenever we were at the spot because we knew where we were allowed to skate and where we weren't. Cops never bothered us here before. We were performing our regular tricks like kick flips and nose grinds while trying to learn some new ones like a rail slide. My boy John wanted to skate down the street to skate this rail. See, he was trying to get sponsored for skating, and he wanted me to film him. We were mid-shot and my boy was killing it when we noticed a cop drove by. But like I said, we didn't pay any attention to it. Cops are no reason to be nervous, at least not for me and John. As we continued filming, I looked over my shoulder and noticed the cop car stopped, talking to my other friend. Me and John quickly raced over there on our boards. By the time we got there, the cop was pulling off, and my friend Quentin was standing there, looking more flustered than I'd ever seen. Quentin is black. He never did tell us what the cop said to him. This is the day I realized not all skaters are treated equally. Although skaters aren't really looked up to, if you're white, the cop car won't stop to question you.
When you look at me, I can tell you 3 assumptions that you've already made. I am white, I'm American, and I am privileged. Now, you aren't wrong about these assumptions, but you only see half the picture. Cuando me miras, no ves que soy Latina y hablo español. That means when you see me, you don't see that I'm Latina or speak Spanish. The facts that you're missing are that my mother is from El Salvador, and my father is a white American. 1999. Oh, I hate going to the grocery store. Mama always takes forever. Mommy, slow down, you're walking too fast.
Venga, mi hija.
I'm hungry. I wonder if Mama's gonna let me choose my favorite snacks today. Oh, look, Cocoa Pebbles. I want Cocoa Pebbles, please.
Oh, such a cute girl. Are you her nanny?
Oh, so sweet. Nanny? What's a nanny? Silly lady, doesn't she know she's my mommy?
No, I'm her mother.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
2006. 5 more minutes until class is over, then freedom at last.
I'm here to pick up Jessica.
Your mom sounds funny.
No, she doesn't.
Your mom is a Mexican.
No, she's from El Salvador. Mexicans are from Mexico.
They're all Mexican, stupid.
I just said she's from El Salvador.
Jessica, your mom's here to pick you up. Pack your things.
Yes, Mrs. Jones. Why did he keep saying that? Why wouldn't he listen? Mom isn't Mexican, she's from El Salvador. But what if she was Mexican? Why is that a bad thing? I don't get it. 2016. I am a child of a dual ethnicity household, and while some children look like their mother or a mixture of both their parents, I look like my father. People treat me differently than my mother, even though we share the same blood and the same languages. I bled into the privileged white American. I still walk into grocery stores with my mom, and people still look at us and wonder what our relationship is, but they no longer approach us or ask, but their judgment remains. I've embraced my mother. I have embraced her culture. It's time everyone else embraced it too.
What drives you? It's a question as old as time. Why build this? Why think about that? Let me tell you what drives me. Failure. It doesn't drive me because it's waiting for me to make a mistake. No, failure drives me because it's something that has pulled me under the surface once before, only to fight back kicking and screaming for one more gasp of air. In 2008, I graduated high school. For those of you playing along at home with me, that makes me a 26-year-old senior. I went off to ECU, joined a fraternity, and spent the next year and a half in a purple and gold haze of drugs and alcohol. While I was having the time of my life, my parents' ship was sinking faster than the Titanic. They told me to get a job. They told me what would happen. I was 19. I hope they didn't think I was going to listen. In 2009, my parents' accountant made a mistake that, when coupled with the financial crisis of that same time period, completely changed life the way I knew it. I grew up in a relatively comfortable middle-class family. We had a home here in Wilmington and one in Morehead City that we had been fortunate enough to inherit from my grandma, a boat to go along with each, and my family of 7 went on a nice vacation each summer. When my parents took me out of school in 2010, I came home and fell into a pit of despair. I continued acting like I was still at ECU, drinking each night, sleeping in each morning. I wasn't doing anything right. And on top of all of that, I stood outside of my childhood home with my parents and cried as the bank foreclosed on our house and sent us on our way. Some 2 years after this, I bubbled back to the surface and decided it was time to get my act together. I enrolled in school at Cape Fear and became an active participant in my life. My parents are doing better also. I still get a text every now and then asking for money that I know I won't get back. But that's fine. I owe them everything. I mean, everything that I am because of my parents. So yeah, I'm happy with where I am now, but I know that if I quit treading water, my old friend failure is waiting for me just beneath the surface.
It is based on a true story and is about the truth. A group of high school students in Korea were supposed to go on a field trip to an island. One of the students was spending his days with his family as always, and he was so excited to leave home for a few days. His mom helped him pack his luggage, and his father gave him quite a lot of allowance to enjoy his field trip. 안전이 최우선이야.
Safety is our first priority.
나 필요할 때 언제든지 연락해.
Call me if you need me.
잘 다녀오고 보고 싶을 거야. 안전하게 지내야 돼.
Have fun. Be safe. I'll miss you.
As planned, he came out of home and got into a ship with other students. They were all thrilled and looking forward to the new experience. 우리 일단 도착하면 바다부터 가자.
Let's go to the beach.
나 이거 배도 처음 타봐.
Awesome. This is my first time on a ship.
They were talking about their plans and slept a day on the ship. However, before long, it started to tilt. Everyone began to be confused and scared of this situation. All of a sudden, they heard a sound. 가만히 있으시고 움직이지 마십시오.
Stay here. Don't move.
가만히 있으시고 움직이지 마십시오.
Stay here. Don't move.
All of them followed the order and tried to be calm. While they were waiting for another order, the captain of the ship escaped from it first. And the first, the second, and the third officers were safe in turn, but the most of the students were still in the ship. It finally sank to the deep ocean. After all, so many people, including those high school students and the younger and older people, more than 300 people, were victimized. After this accident happened, the government announced what the reason the ship sank was. But it was as unclear as the public doubted about it. Therefore, not only the bereaved families, but also many ordinary people protested to the government. However, the government is still avoiding revealing the truth, and the media is helping it. There are just so many conjectures. 나는 왜 내 아이가 바다에서 죽었고 제때 구출되지 않았는지 알고 싶을 뿐입니다.
I want to know why my child died in the ocean and wasn't saved timely.
그게 죄인가요?
Is that a crime?
우리는 진실이 필요합니다.
We deserve the truth.
His mom says to a reporter. She quit her job and started to make a flyer saying, "Be with us, we should know the truth." All Korean people were angry at the accident and depressed. However, it can be forgotten gradually. But the bereaved families never get used to it. Rather, the wounds get deeper due to the unclear facts. The truth always matters, but the truth has not yet arisen from the ocean.
To live in this body, a body of curves and rolling hills blanketed by yellow sunshine, and hey, I am bountiful and I am wild. But to live in an invaded body, pillaged, stripped of its grain and gold, no one wants this trampled territory. Rape. He hid behind the name tag teacher, and he taught me a lot of things. He taught me what baby fat looks like under the body of a man. He taught me how no has no meaning when only the devil is around to hear it, and he taught me how to hide. He taught me how to go 9 years spilling out I'm okays and I'm fines for people who were only victims of pity. When I should have been screaming, look at me, see me, I was too busy hiding behind my hands so I wouldn't be your inconvenience. Rape. A man of great power and wealth. I read his name on billboards and magazines and all of this skin. A man meant to mold the minds of children. He molded these slumped shoulders of grief and love handles of anxiety. Rape. It influences every movement or lack thereof that you make. It makes you want to run into the nurturing embrace of your mother, and though you have spent 9 months inspecting and learning her insides, she will never see how your stomach clenches every time someone looks at your body. And you can't even look at your own body, because you know not a single inch still belongs to you, for you have become their buffet, greedy, strange hands grabbing at your thighs, breasts, and wings, and the only form of special you are is all you can eat. Rape. It throws you into the arms of a skinny boy. You climb into the jungle gym of his body, play house throughout his ribcage. Grasp his protruding hip bones like the chains on your swing set. You feel safe behind these monkey bars. But we can't stay children forever. And they tell you ignorance is bliss. But what do you do when a teacher teaches you that playgrounds rust and skinny boys always leave? Rape. Close your eyes when you fuck, because eyes are windows to the soul, and you can't let them steal at your soul. It's the only piece of you have left. The police will bound you in a blanket of victim blaming. They will tie up your neck with rope of innocent until proven guilty to save you. We must silence you. I'm David. He is Goliath, and they have stolen all my stones. But this social injustice will not last my entire lifetime, no. One day he will die. And on his judgment day, he will be forced to face the bruises on my cheeks. He will be stripped of his pants of lies and his shirt of deceit, because before God we are naked. And this time it won't be me. According to the Rape Crisis Center, 1 in 6 women will be raped. 22% are under the age of 12.
In 2014, when the accident happened, Korean people suffer from group depression, leading to post-traumatic stress disorder.
According to a 2009 Business Week study, over 1 million Americans lost their homes in the 2008 financial crisis.
In 2011, the Associated Press released a survey which showed that 52% of Americans held explicit anti-Hispanic attitudes.
According to the American Resistance, African Americans are more likely to be arrested for almost every crime.
Why autoethnography? Why stories? Why us?
Because we have a voice when so many are silenced.
We desire to shed light.
Speak out.
Give testimony.
Share our truths.
Because untold stories need to be heard.
For the love of ourselves and others.
Stories inspire.
Promote unity.
Make a difference.
To offer hope.
Because short stories last a long time.
So we come together.
To speak so you know you're not alone.
After all, if not us, then who?
And that's Just Us, a performance troupe in pursuit of social justice and Com to 11 Storytelling and Culture, Spring 2016. Please stay for a discussion of the show.